guys, me your host Superstar. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today is my top 10 toys of 2021 countdown. I do this each and every single year, and I do enjoy ranking the toys that I think were the best of this year or had the best to offer this year. As always, I just want to make a little disclaimer. My decisions and my choices aren't yours. Please bear that in mind when you start going at me in the comments for the things I've chosen. This is my personal opinion, and you're entitled to your opinion as well. It doesn't mean my opinion is invalid and wrong. It just means that we have differences of opinion. The internet's a fun place and we have to say these things. But with that out of the way, it's time to jump straight in and take a look at what top 10 toys I consider to be some of the best of this year, or what I thought was some of the best toys that this year had to offer us. Please bear in mind as well, some of these toys, we were in lockdown for quite a lot of the year. We've had a lot of delays, we've had a lot of products get pushed back, so I've kind of made a list of things that I received this year. It doesn't necessarily mean that toys were announced this year or anything. It's all about toys that I received and reviewed within this year. With that, there are some rules to this list. It must be a toy that I've had on the channel and reviewed. It can't be something that I've received and haven't unboxed and reviewed yet, because how do I know it's the top 10 toy without reviewing it? So it has to be a toy in which I reviewed. So if you guys want to start going at me in the comments saying I've not included Transformers, Turtles and all this good stuff, it might be because I didn't review it. So with that in mind, like I say, it's got to be a toy that I've reviewed and a toy that I've received this year. Let's jump straight in at toy number 10. So toy number 10 is the SH Figuarts Harley Quinn. Now this was one of my favourite toys of the year. Oh no. Okay, my number 10 choice has to be my favourite girl in the DC universe. It's Harley Quinn. This was McFarlane's version of Harley Quinn based on the new Suicide Squad movie. The movie itself was okay, I enjoyed it. Admittedly, if you saw my podcast with Jacob, I did include it as one of my favourites of the year. I really enjoyed the film. It was a definite improvement on the first Suicide Squad film, which, don't get me wrong, I do still enjoy, but I thought this version of Harley Quinn's outing was much more fun, and I did actually enjoy this more than Birds of Prey. I hope DC have it on them to make a Harley Quinn solo movie. She doesn't require all these additional characters for her. I would just happily watch just a Harley Quinn movie. But anyway, number 10 was definitely Harley Quinn. I liked the version of the costume, with the red dress that she wore. She came with Javelin Spear as well, which was a nice addition. I don't display her with that though, I just have her on display as normal. It's a real shame that McFarlane's didn't actually release her in the black and red sort of outfit that she wears predominantly through the film. That was a figure that was released by SH Figuarts. Whilst a great figure, I don't think it was the best that SH Figuarts have given us, as it didn't have any weapons, any accessories. It felt very lacking, actually, for a Figuarts figure, in my opinion. However, the McFarlane's version I thought was nice enough. It was a definite improvement on the recent Harley Quinn stuff that we've received from McFarlane. And of course, we still haven't ever really received that rollerblade Harley Quinn that they were going to give us from Birds of Prey. That never seemed to materialise, as far as I'm aware. But this version was definitely needed after a long absence of a Margot Robbie Harley Quinn in that DC multiverse line. What are your thoughts? Did you get that figure? Let us know in the comments below. We're now going to jump to a galaxy far, far away for our number 9 choice, which is actually going to be Aura Singh. Aura Singh was definitely a delight of a figure when we got her. She was definitely needed in my collection, and for me it was a tie between her and Asajj Ventress, and they were two Clone Wars characters that I was desperate to get in the Black series. However, I did think that Aura Singh did fit in better with the rest of the Black series figures. As you guys know, they do like to change them from their cartoon-looking counterparts into a realistic version so that they fit in with the rest of the live-action style characters, which is a nice thing that they do. They create a more like a photoreal version of the character. I don't think Asajj Ventress's character came across as well without it being in that cartoon form. I think they should definitely have another go at Asajj Ventress in a different costume from Clone Wars. I would definitely like to see them, as they seem to be going over that Clone Wars that came out before the CGI one, the original cartoon version. I could never pronounce the name of the guy that made it. I want to say Tchaikovsky or something. It was like a long name like that, and it was his version of the Clone Wars cartoon. I like that version of Sarge Ventress, and if they're going to give us Grievous and a couple of figures from that line, especially Mace Windu's coming from that line, I would love them to do an Sarge Ventress with the whited out eyes and the way she looked in that cartoon, as that's where she originates from. I do like... just moving back to the actual figure of choice here, a Sarge Ventress was definitely needed in the collection. I really wish they gave her a small Boba Fett boy to go with her, though. I still think that there's room for a Clone Wars young Boba Fett to stand with her, because obviously her and Bosk predominantly helped Boba Fett after he lost his father in the Clone Wars. But like I say, she was definitely a figure that we needed in the collection, or that I at least wanted desperately in my collection. I really liked her, the way they did the figure. I think it was a very nicely articulated figure. It looked good, and it translated well from Clone Wars to the sort of live-action look, if you will. So that's definitely worth a spot on my list. What about your thoughts? I'm waffling a bit here, so I'm going to cut this off. What are your thoughts on that figure? Let us know in the comments. WandaVision. I think definitely we need a spot for Wanda on this list. WandaVision was the TV series that kicked off the sort of TV multiverse of Marvel. And she definitely gave us something different to enjoy in the early part of the year, and I really enjoyed where we went with the TV stuff over the last year. And the MCU Wanda that they gave us from that series was really nice. I thought they really captured the likeness of Scarlet very, very well. And I like the fact that they gave us her version from the end of the series, you know, in the sort of full red regalia and stuff. I wish she had the hood, though, because that hood was awesome. But yeah, she looked absolutely awesome. And this was definitely a figure that I couldn't not include in my list. And I think the Vision that came out to go along with her, obviously very reminiscent of the White Vision from the comics, but I think they captured Scarlet's likeness from the comics very well with the costuming, but yet bringing it into the new sort of design for Scarlet Witch. I can't wait to see where they go further with this. Obviously, she looked great as well in the Halloween episode, where she actually wore the classic Scarlet costume as well. That was awesome. And it was nice to see, obviously, her children, Wiccan and Speed, I would say. Her children, anyway, and I hope they have a bigger part to play further down the line. I hope that wasn't just a little thing in the TV series, but we did hear them talk at the end, so... Ooh, I'm very excited to see where this goes. But anyway, the figure itself was very well articulated, very well painted, and I thought it was a great figure in that line. A lot of people were obviously gushing at the time over Loki, and there were so many good figures in that line. And I thought Scarlet was the best. Personally, she was the one that I pre-ordered instantly. So, definitely a figure worthy of the list. Number 7 has to go to Mastermind. Now, Marvel Legends Mastermind, obviously this has to be on the list. I was actually asked to launch this figure with Marvel Legends, and with a bunch of other YouTubers, we announced that 5-pack with each figure individually being revealed on a different channel over different days. It was really fun to be a part of that, and I was really honoured to have been chosen for my channel to take part. And the fact that I got Mastermind as an X-Men comic enthusiast and a lover of all things X-Men, I thought receiving Jason Wingard was one of my favourite parts of the year. Obviously very reminiscent of that animated TV series episode for me, with the rest of Hellfire Club and Phoenix, and yeah, and the fact they gave us both heads and stuff. Very cool figure, and I'm really surprised I haven't seen many more customs with the alternate head version, because yeah, I was surprised more people haven't used like the long trench coats and stuff to make a custom of him yet, from how he looks later, in the other comics. But for me, he was definitely needed for the Hellfire Club figures in my collection. And yeah, he's got a prominent place stood next to Phoenix on my display forever. He's over there somewhere with the rest of the X-Men, and he looks awesome. So couldn't not have him. It had to be on the list just because of the fact that I revealed him. It had to be on there, right? A surprise quick entry here at number 6, as I only got this review out the other day, but for me, they are one of the fun little figures of the year, and they are on display here. It's the mini Stay Puft Marshmallow, little mini puffs, whatever you want to call them. They were obviously featured in Ghostbusters Afterlife, and they stole the show for me. They are so cute and adorable. They're like, it's like, you know, it's like Grogu, Groot. It's that kind of a thing. It's like that cutesy little toyetic little thing that was in the film, that was only in the film for all of about 10 seconds. But they could make so much merch with that. I can't wait for all the pops to release, the mystery minis. There's going to be all sorts in that. If they don't release everything like plushies and that, they're missing out. I love the little figures, though, from Plasma Series. They did this very well. With the alternate heads and the very cartoon expressions, they're very fun to pose. As you guys saw on my Instagram, I made them into... I put one of them into little s'mores, and you could use the evil head to start staring at it, and then the other one's going, ooh, like he's looking off in the corner. They were very fun to use and very easy to animate, and they look good as in photography and stuff, so they are great to have. And I believe they're already making a variant version of them that look all burnt and stuff, so that's really cool as well. So yeah, I couldn't resist plonking these on the list. I couldn't bring myself to put them higher, bear in mind, but they are at number 6 in the sort of middle ground, as I didn't think they were the best thing ever, but they definitely weren't the worst. They were definitely a good, happy middle point of the year for me. This may surprise you, as I don't let much Jurassic Park merch through onto the channel very often. It has to be something quite special. I do like Velociraptors, as you've probably guessed, as that's the predominant stuff that I review. But this year a T-Rex made it through, and it's because it was in 3.5 inch scale, or 3.75 inch scale, and we got obviously the Ford Explorer, and obviously it was the set with the T-Rex, or the T-Rex Escape set, I believe they called it. It was available here in the UK at Smith's as a part of the Legacy Collection, and I had to grab it. Amber Collection, I think, is fun and has a place for 6-inch collectors. I am predominantly a 6-inch collector, but when it comes to Jurassic Park, because of the dinosaurs and stuff, I think I prefer the 3-inch scale human figures with the cars and things. I think they're more fun with the bigger looking versions of the T-Rex. Obviously, you're never going to get a 6-inch T-Rex because it would be absolutely massive. So I really like the fact that they gave us this awesome T-Rex that goes in lovely scale with the car and stuff, with the roof that has the little lid that pops in. And they gave us a little Tim as well, which is awesome. The figure was definitely a cute little figure. It comes with the little visor goggles, and I really wish they continue that line. Obviously, they did give us the Dennis Nedry version, but I ended up buying that, but passing that on to another collector, as I reviewed the 6-inch scale version of Dennis. But for that, the green and red, yellow sort of car was very iconic for me, because that's the one I had as a kid from the old Kenner collection, and I would love to grab some of those old Kenner toys. Whilst the new Legacy collection is fun, I do still prefer the Kenner ones, and I would love to get some of those sets. Might have to make that thing of this year to hunt down at some toy fairs, but even then, number 5 had to be the T-Rex Escapes, a very fun little set. Coming up at number 4, it's possibly one of my favourite Universal monsters of all time. It's the NECA Universal Monsters Frankenstein. This is the black and white variant, which I was surprised that was my absolute favourite. I did get the colour version. It came recently because it took a long time to get here in the UK. And you know what? I didn't like it. I thought the grayscale one looked better. The random tone of colour they used for the colour one just didn't pop. However, when you take a picture of the grayscale one, it just seems to really look animated and really good. So I do prefer my black and white variant of Frankenstein. He's up on my horror shelf and I love him to bits. And even the Jada one that got released afterwards didn't sully it for me. The Jada one has a place in the collection, but I do prefer the 7-inch NECA one. That is the one that's making the list. And I'm surprised because I'm predominantly a big Dracula fan when it usually comes to Universal Monsters, but the Jada Dracula, whilst looks great, didn't top that NECA Frankenstein for me. Maybe when we finally get around to getting the NECA version of Dracula, this might change. But for now, it's the black and white variant of the Frankenstein figure that is getting this spot on the list. Coming up at number 3, Stay Off the Moors. It's the no, it's not Universal Monsters, it's the American Werewolf in London. This figure was awesome. It took ages to arrive here in the UK, but you know what? It was well worth the wait. The figure looks amazing. It's not screen accurate, as a lot of people have pointed out in the comments of my video. It does have a little way to go. They didn't give it a hinged jaw, which I thought was a big miss, but overall, we don't get many werewolf toys. Werewolves are a thing that we don't seem to get in action figures for whatever reason. I know we are getting the NECA Werewolf Man very soon, and we have had the Werewolf by Night in Marvel Legends, but those figures are like few and far between. Where are all the werewolves? So for me, the fact that we get the full transformed version of the American Werewolf in London, which looks awesome, by the way, that face sculpt is amazing. The only thing I would wish for is if they made us a version where it's the thing in the film where he's laid on his back and his legs have transformed. I would love that version with a scared expression on the guy's face. I would love that as a figure, but it might be a bit too gruesome for them to release, but it would look awesome, especially if they gave it a little diorama to go with it. Oh, I would buy that in a heartbeat. Maybe that's something that Diamond Select could do as a statue. You know, like they did with the Annabelle that came with a little room. And the fact that I think they gave us a crow that had a little diorama piece as well, didn't they, in statues, if I remember rightly. Either way, the NECA version of American Werewolf in London is on my spot. Number 3, quite high on the list. I really thought a lot of that figure this year. Now, whilst my number 2 on the list isn't actually an action figure, it's still a toy. And that's why I've called it Toy List of the Year, because the animatronic Grogus are really something on this channel that has really helped me progress this channel. The reviews did really well, and I fell in love with the little toys. It started out with that little animatronic Grogu, which, you know, cooed and cawed at you, but then all of a sudden they released this great big one, and it comes with accessories. You can feed him, you can put the little macaroon in his hand, his little spoon, and the fact that he can do the Force, and yeah, it's such a cool little figure. And he looks awesome on my shelf. He's got a prominent place in my displays. There he is, in one of the little cubby holes. Yeah, and he's definitely worth having as a spot in the collection, just because I love the animatronics so much. The Mandalorian TV series was a big thing. It hit a lot of nostalgic spots for me, and then they introduced Ahsoka in that TV series as well, my lifelong character. I love Ahsoka. I can't say how much I love that character. It's like Darth Maul. Those are the opposites of the Force that I love the most, Ahsoka and Maul. And Grogu, the animatronic, was amazing. I really didn't think they could top the original animatronic that they gave us, but they did with the galactic snack in Grogu. I need to go for a drink. Now it's time for my number 1 choice. Can you guess what it is? I don't think anyone would actually guess what I've chosen for number 1, as I think it's definitely something that's not a lot of people would think of, or would think I would choose. It's the Marvel Legends Zombie Captain America. This was a turning point for me with Marvel Legends. That figure looks amazing. I really wasn't expecting to like the What If wave of figures at all. I genuinely thought I would be selling the majority on. And I never thought that Hasbro would ever produce a zombie Marvel figure. That was something that was left to the likes of Diamond Select. However, they managed to find this middle ground of creating a zombie cartoon that was accessible on Disney+. Whilst it wasn't free of blood and gore, they did it in such a way that it wasn't overly violent, gory, and overly scary. They did it in a superhero fashion and made the actual cartoon really good and easily accessible to watch if you're a younger viewer. And the figure definitely followed through with that. They didn't go overboard with the blood, guts, and gore, but it still looks amazing. And I think the style matches the cartoon, and it's a way that they can give us multiple of these zombies without it being too offensive to a smaller audience. And I think that's a good middle ground as a collector, because again, whilst they look good on my display, they're not something that looks overly gory or out of place with the rest of the Marvel Legends figures. Because the last thing you'd want is the random bunch of Marvel zombies on a regular Marvel Legends display, because it wouldn't look right. However, I think they got I think they got it just right with that with that Captain America zombie, and he looks really good, and I really hope they give us a few more, because obviously an Iron Man would be easy to do. I'd love them to do the Wanda. Wanda looked amazing in that zombie form with the red eyes, you know, like hovering up and stuff. She looked amazing, and I really would love that figure. The Spider-Man from that series has actually become one of my favourite Spider-Men. And if you guys saw one of the videos I did recently, I used the beaten up Peter Parker head and I put that on the zombie's body, and it looks really good because on the zombie's body you've got the blood splatters on the costume, like dark red patches to be blood. And when he's got a beaten up face, it matches really well, and it looks good. So there's a good little thing if you want a beaten up looking Spider-Man. But yeah, that is my number one choice, and I really think it was well deserved. I think it was a great figure. So guys, which of my top 10 do you agree with? Do you not agree with any? Which is your top 10 of the year? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know your favourite toy of the year. I really would love to know and discuss it with you down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit that like button for me. It would really support the channel. And as well, if you're new around here, please hit that subscribe button. Subscribing does really support the channel a lot. I don't ask for anyone to, donate money. I don't ask for donations on live streams. I don't do Patreon. I don't do give us a coffee. I don't do any of that rubbish. I don't agree with it. I get paid via YouTube for ad revenue, or if you click any of my affiliate links in the description below. However, the ad revenue is my main source of income for this channel, and you guys, if you could just subscribe to the channel, it would really support that. So guys, thank you very much for watching. As always, I'm your host, Soup Sorrel. I hope you have an amazing new year, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another video. But until then, may the force be with you. Bye!